Perhaps another time. My father chuckled after missing my wedding, even though I covered flights and accommodations for everyone. So, I ensured they'd feel the sting of their absence. I paid for my parents' airfare, hotel stays, and even their attire so they could be at my wedding. Not a single family member showed up. Maybe next time, my father laughed over the phone. We couldn't skip your sister's brother-in-law's book launch, my mother explained. I didn't argue. Instead, I did some writing of my own, and by morning they were yelling. Someone once said your wedding day is meant to be the most joyful, a radiant swirl of blooms, smiles, and love. That's what I pictured when I started planning mine. I secured the venue well in advance, a charming, affordable spot, a rooftop terrace adorned with twinkling lights. I meticulously chose the menu, ensuring vegan dishes for my sister and sparkling wine for my mother. I even shifted the wedding closer to our hometown to make it easier for my relatives. When they said they couldn't afford to come, I believed them. Naturally, I did. I offered to help. When they still wavered, I took care of everything. Flights, hotels, even outfits. I paid for it all, including for my sister's husband, so she wouldn't travel alone. I convinced myself it was worth it, that family shows up when it matters. I hadn't realized their definition of showing up was so different from mine. On the morning of the wedding, I woke early. My childhood friend, who I used to swap comic books with on the curb, texted that he and his partner had arrived safely. They'd arranged their own travel and lodging, no fuss, just excitement to be there. Meanwhile, I was glued to the airline app, tracking my family's flight. It landed on time. Great, I thought. They're on their way. In the dressing room, I kept glancing out the window like an anxious teen waiting for a prom date. The officiant arrived at 3 o'clock, offering a warm smile. Just checking if we're ready, she said. Maybe a few more minutes, I replied. They might be stuck in traffic or their phones died. I called, straight to voicemail. I tried again. No answer. The makeup artist finished my look. The photographer snapped soft shots of my bouquet by the window. I smiled for the lens. I checked my phone again. Nothing. At 3:30, my best friend tapped on the door and peeked in. They're asking if you want to begin, he said. My throat tightened. My father was supposed to walk me down the aisle. He'd promised. 5 more minutes, I whispered, forcing a brittle smile. He nodded, stayed with me, and ignored my trembling hands. I called again. Voicemail. At 3:37, my phone buzzed. Mom's number. I grabbed it so fast I nearly dropped it. Hey, sweetheart, she said breezily. Sorry, we couldn't make it. I froze, confused. What? What happened? She laughed like I was being silly. Your sister's brother-in-law had a book launch. It meant a lot to him, and she didn't want to go alone. We had to be there for her. You know how family works. My father's voice echoed in the background, chuckling. Maybe next time. I stood there in my gown, makeup perfect, bouquet clutched, trying to process that my parents chose a book launch over my wedding. Not even my sister's event, her husband's brother's. And they didn't bother to tell me. They let me wait, let me worry, let me think they were lost or hurt or on their way until the music was supposed to start. They let me pay for everything. Let me rearrange the entire wedding to accommodate them, and it still wasn't enough. At 3:45, I put my phone down and took a deep breath. My best friend stood quietly, ready to steady me if I faltered. Would you? I asked, voice quivering. Walk me down? He smiled instantly. Of course. So I walked, arm in arm with the boy who used to build blanket forts with me and once helped me stitch a doll's outfit when my sister mocked me for asking her. The ceremony went on. Vows were spoken. Rings were slipped on. Guests clapped and cheered. Someone shed tears. I smiled through it all, until my face hurt, until it felt like a mask. At the reception, I laughed at toasts, sliced the cake, and danced with my new husband under the lights I'd hung myself. But deep inside, something cold and sharp took root. Later that night, after the guests had left and the hotel door clicked shut, I sat at the small desk by the window. I opened my laptop. My husband crossed the room, still in his suit jacket. Are you sure about this? He asked. I nodded, eyes fixed on the screen. Yes. He paused, then said softly, You know, once you send it, there's no going back. I looked up and gave a small, real smile for the first time that day. Tomorrow, everything changes. I hit send and didn't look back. They say your wedding night should be about looking forward, not dwelling on the past. New chapters, fresh starts, hope. I tried. But even as I curled up with my husband under the thick hotel blankets, my thoughts drifted to,